welcome to this week's episode of the Ninten-Dadcast. This week going to be kind of a fun week. No sad news to report on, no controversies or anything like that. Just some fun speculation and positivity. And I'll start with the positivity. So, just going back to waiting in line at the Mobile Gundam base, meeting all kinds of Gundam fans and Gunpla builders, and just chatting, having a great time. To me doing the video about that, where I showed off my haul, I talked about my experience, to then what was posted recently, my first ever on TV, on camera build of a Gundam. Just the amount of positivity in the Gunpla community that I've seen so far, just on Twitter, Instagram, now on YouTube, in person, kind of amazes me, because lately there's been a lot of toxicity in like nerdy geek culture things. The wrestling community, we know we have our tribalism with AEW versus WWE, just lots of back and forth between people on that. With video games in general, we have our console war people, PC Master Race, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. Well, I haven't really heard too many Nintendo people getting toxic. I'm sure they're out there, but it's mostly just a lot of bickering between PlayStation and Xbox players. And then you got the PC guys popping in, like, PC's better than both, blah, 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 blah. So you've got that kind of toxicity there with just the tribalism, the console warism. And then you have the social justice. Well, I personally think it's a bit of a grift by both sides, where you have the people who I'd consider right. When I say right, I mean the direction right of center, not the correct people. Sorry. I should probably specify that. The people who are right of center are saying that gaming, especially Western gaming, has gone too woke. We have fat, ugly, transgender characters of the like in a lot of Western developed games. And then you've got the people left of center who will just shit on anything that is over masculine, or if like a woman's showing too much skin, things like that. And both sides have a little merit to their argument, because it seems sometimes a lot of Western game developers are trying to take these popular mass market games and then try to market them to a very small percentage of the population. At times, it's not as egregious as a lot of these grifters on the right side would want you to believe. And then, of course, some people on the left side, saying, hey, gaming should be for everybody, and totally agree with that. If a game developer wants to make a game that appeals to the LGBTQ plus community, I mean, that's well within their right to make that game. Or if they're making a mass market game and they want better representation in the game, of course, again, that's fine. As long as we, again, just kind of like within movies, and I'll get to the toxicity of movies too. As long as, we start with a good game first, then we can do all those other things. But I'm getting off topic because I'm talking about the positivity of Gunpla. But yeah, just so much toxicity in the gaming community, in the wrestling community, in the movie community, with pretty much the same things I just kind of said about video games, as well as like comic books and things like that. There's just a lot of toxicity in the nerd community right now, where it's much to do about nothing, I feel. But at the same time, just what I've experienced with fellow Gundam builders, Gunpla, and things like that, it's just nothing but positive. Just people excited, like when I talked about in my Gundam video, or a Gundam-based video, doing a build on camera, a lot of people like, oh, I can't wait to see it. People tuned in into the Twitch stream. We're positive. We had a good time there. I'll definitely, I guess I'll do my master grade Wing Zero. I'm going to get a better camera, though, because I used my cell phone and I remoted it into my PC to do, that way you can get an overhead view of me building, and then I had the face cam here to talk. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on a better solution, because there was a bit of a delay there. But yeah, just the overall like power of positivity there. Just everyone just super positive about Gundam, just chatting Gundam, talking about their favorite Gundam. And there's no like tribalism, like, oh, Gundam Siege your favorite Gundam? Well, Mobile Suit Gundam's the best. No, Gundam Wing's the best. We all have our preferences to which of the Gundam stories we don't like, and which are our favorite. And it seems like everyone's just like, yeah, that's your favorite. That's a cool one. I like the one too. That my favorite Gundam from that one is this one, and so on. So definitely was a breath of fresh air with, like I said, over the past few years, just the toxicity that has leaked over into nerd culture, just to find that, because I've had experience with the Gunpla community because I build Gundams, and I've sought out tips and tricks online and videos and things like that, and I've connected to a few people over social media. But this was like my first real deep dive into it, only because all the other Gundam bases I've been to have been in Japan, and I don't speak Japanese that well, and most of the people I interacted with didn't speak English. So there was a politeness there, mind you, but I mean, you find that anywhere in Japan. But there wasn't a lot of communication going on as far as like, oh, this, that, and that, like I experienced at the mobile base. So again, super positive experience, because this has been my mass exposure to the Gunpla community. Like I said, just minor stuff that I've done here and there, but this has been the first time where I've interacted with a ton of people from the community, and it's been overwhelming, 100% positive. Not a single negative thing I heard at the Mobile Gundam base. Didn't even, and in fact, just going back to that, just everyone's spirits were up. We were all waiting in line. The sun, we were on black asphalt. So the sun was kind of reflecting. It was hot. No one was getting pissed off or irritated or anything like that. Everyone was just talking Gundam and other nerdy shit they like, and we were all having a good time. In fact, a comment on my mobile base video, someone went the next day to the Richmond one and waited 4 hours in line, but they didn't care. They were super stoked, and they got the exclusive Gundam they were looking to get, and that's awesome. Like, waited 4 hours in line, but nope, I don't care. I got the Gundam I wanted. It was a great experience. So that kind of positivity, awesome to see, and I kind of hope the rest of my nerdy interests fall in line with that. I mean, that would be great. So, I mean, we will see. But, yeah, so that's my opening power of positivity. Arnold Schwarzenegger, New Day inspired kind of positive aspect looked on the internet. So, Gunpla community, great job. You get 5 stars. 10 stars. 10 stars. 10 stars for the Gunpla community. Actually, I should have had my Gundam right here, but I already put it in the case. Maybe I'll put a picture up on it. It's in my Gundam case over there. I got it posed really cool. I'll put the picture of it posed up because I'm not going to go get it and open that case and knock stuff down. So next up on the docket, we have today the GameStop retro stores. And speaking of toxicity, not really. There's been complaining about it, but nothing toxic, I don't think. GameStop has started a big retro push, kind of a big retro push. I mean, they're really advertising it, but we'll get to why I don't think it's a big push as of yet. So they started with a tweet about 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. Retro stores coming back, and you click on it, and it gives you put in your zip code, and you give your zip code. It tells you what stores are retro stores close by. And coincidentally for me, the store that's about a half mile from my house is a retro store. So I was like, sweet, I'm a retro game collector. Most new games I buy, I order off Amazon. QVC, that FlexPay is great when you're ordering a bunch of games, 5 payments. And plus, Welcome 20. I think you get like $20 off your first order of like $50 or more, something like that. So definitely check out QVC if you're a gamer. But yeah, I get most of my new games from QVC or Amazon, sometimes Best Buy, or Game Pass. So I don't go to GameStop that often. So bringing back retro games is exciting to me because then I can add to the collection back there. And so I was excited. So it was the one right by my house. It's like even better. So I kind of read into that a little too much. I thought those games were going to go total retro. Just they were going to turn into like a Funko Land. You don't buy new games there. You only buy used games, mostly retro, things like that. But so I went in. I didn't go in right away. I went in like a week later to check it out. And it's still a GameStop, and there was just 1/4 of a wall dedicated to retro games. It had most, like the ones that had the majority of were 360 and PlayStation 3 games, a lot of sports games. We had a couple Wii U and Wii games up there, a couple PS2s and Xbox games, And then they had some DS in case, because mine, even before the retro thing, always had like DS and 3DS in a glass case where you're just like, oh, I want that one. And you'd get it. And a couple DS games. They did not. No, they had one N64 game, which was Banjo-Kazooie. I already have that, so I didn't buy it. I didn't see any PS1 games, no Dreamcast games, no Saturn games. There was one Genesis game. It was Batman Returns, no case. And I didn't see any Game Boy games. And a lot of people, like, this has been the experience for a lot of people going to these retro Gamestops, and people have been complaining about it. Like, how can you call it retro? Can you call it retro? Now, I'm going to defend GameStop, but also roast them at the same time. In their defense, it takes time to build up this inventory because, as far as I know, GameStop doesn't have people going to storage units, swap meets, things like that to buy retro games like most of us get for our collections, or like mom and pop shops do to build up their collection. They work solely on trades. So people got to come in and trade those games in. Ironically, my GameStop, which is now a retro GameStop, before the whole switch over to retro, they actually had way more retro games because somebody came in and just traded in their entire collection of PS1, N64, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, PS3, PS2, Xbox games in, and they had a ton. They had like a giant rack full of these retro games that this guy had traded in because they were accepting retro games again, but they weren't like doing this whole retro store thing, and they had gone through the vast majority of that inventory long before this retro push happened. Because I think this this happened, it was like early summer, late spring kind of thing like that. So those games are all gone. So, but yeah, they're waiting on trades, and I don't know if it's like trades that come into that particular store, or if it's just any kind of retro traded into a GameStop that might not be a retro GameStop, and they ship them out to the various stores. So I don't know how they're getting their inventory, but we do know it's provided by trade. So they got to wait for those trade-ins. What I would have done if I was GameStop, and again, this is GameStop just thinking short term, not thinking long term, not planning things out, just like, oh, retro games are popular, let's sell retro games again, and not having an inventory to sell. What I would have done if I was GameStop is, over the summer, if they want to do this fall launch thing, because I don't know how long they've been planning it. Let's say they got this idea back in March, and they were going to launch it in September or late August. It's a couple weeks ago. Might have been late August. It might have been. Let me check. Let me check the Twitters, and I will find out for us when it happened, because they announced. Well, we're gonna check Twitter, but we're not gonna do too much on Twitter, because just in case they're like they've tweeted, because I don't think I follow GameStop, so I don't know how much they. Maybe it'd be great. Yep, it's a pinned tweet. Sweet. August 27th is when they tweeted that out. So late August, early September. So that was the launch. Let's say they came up with the idea back in March. What I would have done then is advertised best trade value for your retro games. Like, trade in this many retro games, you get 10% towards a new game. You know, or maybe because they do with the new releases, trade in towards what's coming out, Space Marines. Trade in towards Space Marines, you get an extra 20%. To build up my retro stock, what I would have done if I was them from March to like mid-August, advertised trade in your retro games, get 20% towards the purchase of, or I'm sorry, get 30% extra trade-in credit towards the purchase of anything in store. Not just new games, not just new releases, not just pre-orders, any purchase in the store, you get an extra 30% credit. Because that way, then people who want to get rid of their N64 games, just any of the games that they have, well, they've got them all listed for Saturn games, anything like that. People would bring them in and then trade them in to get that credit for the new games. Not everybody, mind you, not us collectors. But, I mean, I might have done it because I've got a couple duplicates that are, sports games that I got in lots, and I only have them in the lot because the price for the games that I needed was a good price. So for people like that, like me, who when you get duplicates, you just sell the duplicates. If I'll take my army of duplicates, I'll go trade them into GameStop, get some credit, like get towards it, because I do buy and play new games. I mean, that would work. I also get figures from there. So Had they done that, I think they could have built up an inventory pretty quickly, and then come, end of August, September, they could have easily just launched it, and the stores that are dedicated retro stores would have a decent inventory of retro games, and it wouldn't have been kind of a laughable launch. Now, I think this is something if GameStop sticks with, and they kind of figure out a better purchasing plan, not just on trade-ins, but buying storage, like hiring people to go buy storage lockers on their behalf and go to swap meets and things like that, which GameStop, if you decide to do that, give me a call. We'll work something out. But yeah, just go and buy up inventories like estate sales and things like that, and just go and use that purchasing power to buy these. Because the retro game market is, it's a hot and cold market. It was very hot when it started to get hot when I got into it, and then it got hot during the first phase of my collecting. Then it got then it kind of leveled out, it plateaued, and then it dipped a little, but it's kind of rising back up again. So had they done that to begin with, I feel this is something that will, ebb and flow, and it's also going to be about the generations, like my generation. I'm 41 years old, so I really look back, like what I collect is N64, because to me that was the peak of my gaming fun. Pretty much the peak, because my buddies, Mike, Devin, Nelson, Bernie, sometimes Joe, sometimes Jason, we'd all get together on the weekends or pretty much every day in the summer, and we'd play WWE No Mercy, we'd play Mario Kart, we'd play Smash Brothers, all these co-op and competitive games where it's 4-player, and we'd have a blast doing just like that was fun. I had more. This is gonna really label me a nerd. I had more fun doing that than going to parties in high school and college, just hanging out with my friends and playing video games. Just because there was no pressure, and I'm sure if any teenagers are watching that, when you're at parties and you're doing these big group activities, there's a lot of pressure to be cool and stuff like that. But when you're just hanging with your friends, doing whatever it is, whether it's playing video games, hanging out, playing sports, or doing whatever, there's not this pressure to be cool. You're just with your buddies, and you guys rag on each other and things like that. So that's why I say hanging out playing video games on a Friday night was preferable to me than going to a party on a Friday, just because there was no pressure to look cool in front of my friends. We were just there. But when you're in a big school party like that, there's a bit of a pressure to try to be cool and look cool, whether it's you're impressing a girl or a guy or anything like that. There's that pressure to be cool, and you don't have that pressure with your friends. That's why I say my better memory. So me, that was peak fun. So I want to collect a bunch of N64 games, which you see back there. I'm more than halfway, thankfully. And at the same time, other game systems I had fun with, like the Dreamcast. Yeah, you can see the Dreamcast. Saturn I always wanted, never had. So I grabbed one and have some fun with it. There's the PlayStation. Not really big in my collection because I was always a Nintendo person. But I do have all the Metal Gear Solid games over there. Got a decent collection of PlayStation, Saturn, and Dreamcast games and the like. And then, N64. And then I've got some favorite Super Nintendo and Nintendo games that are like childhood favorites that I always loved. And I have those to play and things like that. So just kind of looking around, just seeing if there's anything I can not pull out from my collection, but talk about in my collection that to emphasize my point. But to me, that's big. And then I've got my Japanese GameCube collection right there, because I was in college when the GameCube came out, and when I was in college, I liked going out to parties more than playing video games with my buddies. So it was the flip there. I didn't play that much GameCube at the time because I was going to parties. I had a job, I had classes to study for and things like that. So I would then, I missed out on a bunch of games like Josh has never played Star Fox Assault. That game's a blast. I did about an hour for Josh has never played. I'm probably going to stream that again some more because I'm definitely completing it. I'm probably going to stream it, but that game's a blast. Love playing that game. Mario Kart Double Dash, things like that. Just so much fun. Just so much fun. And so I'm just having a blast going back and playing those GameCube games. So I'm not going to be a completionist on GameCube like I was, or like I am trying to be with the N64, but I want to build up a good collection of some of the fun hidden gems for that. So, oh, that's an ad. I was like, why is Cowboy Bebop playing? But breaking news: Cowboy Bebop Live. If you're in the Richmond area, September 22nd, the Richmond Atrium Theater. It looks like there's going to be like a live band and singers doing Cowboy Bebop Live, but go to cowboybeboplive.com. I'm sure that's like a tour or something like that. So if you're a big Cowboy Bebop fan, you can see live orchestrated playing. That is not a sponsor, by the way. I've got Gundam in the background playing, and that was an ad that popped up on Hulu. And I was like, that's kind of like, it is playing during an anime, so that makes sense. But to share on the podcast, because I'm sure there are Bebop fans here that would be interested in that. So going back to what I was saying, so it's kind of ebbing and flowing and peaking. Like right now, N64 seems to be on a down tilt because I'm assuming the big time collectors, the ones who are going for a complete collection, things like that, a lot of them already have it, so they're not buying it anymore. And I think that nostalgia has already peaked with the N64. So now I think it's moving on to like GameCube, maybe Xbox. I've never noticed anybody collecting Xbox games. The only like rare Xbox game I know of is Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Every other Xbox game doesn't seem to be rare for some reason. Marvel vs. Capcom and PlayStation 2, people are collecting those games going back because that was, again, I was in college then, but high schoolers, middle schoolers who grew up with those consoles are one of them. Like a buddy of mine who I met playing Gears of War online who's about a decade younger than me. He's in his 30s now. He is going back and collecting PlayStation 2 games. So he's going to that era. That's what he's really collecting right now. So as you see, like you're getting to your 30s, you're out of college, you've got a good job, you might not have settled down yet, so you got a lot more disposable income. Because when I was single, I had way more money to spend on shit than I do now, married with 2 kids. When I say spend money on shit, I mean superfluous shit like behind me. So like had I found Surugaya when I was in my 30s or even in my late 20s, I'd have spent a ton of money there shipping stuff in there, though I don't think it was available then. I don't know when it popped up and things like that. But yeah, so now those people who are into that generation of gaming, they are now doing the collecting. So those games are going up in price, which I'm kind of excited for the Flappy Bird or floppy drive, because I'm going to back up all of my GameCube games onto an SD card. In fact, I paid like $2 extra for the Switch labeled one, but I was like, this is going to go in a GameCube. I need the Nintendo one. So I'm going to be backing up all my GameCube games and putting them on the flippy drive, and playing them that way. So like some of my collection, like Eternal Darkness, Mario Strikers, some of my American GameCube games that are worth quite a bit, I might be looking to sell those because they're going to be worth more money. People are going to want to buy them for that nostalgia purpose, to have them in their collection, where I've got it backed up, and so I don't necessarily need the physical media anymore. So I may or may not. I don't know yet. I haven't decided that, but I mean, we'll see. We shall see. So yeah, so that's where kind of GameStop kind of made their big error by not building up a stock before launching this, because then it's for the stores that don't have a lot of like diverse stock or the stock that people are looking for, it's gonna look like a failure from the start. I hope, because I like this initiative by GameStop, and I think that's something they really got to push, because next generation is going to be mostly digital. The PS5 launches without a disc drive, so you don't have the physical media presence that it is. So a lot of people might rebuy. They might not buy the $80 drive. They might grab Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on sale from the Xbox store, the PlayStation store. Same with Final Fantasy 16 and some of these other games that have the upgraded graphics and performance modes for the PS5. So they might not go buy a used copy or a brand new copy physically from GameStop. They're going to buy the digital version, and Sony's really been pushing digital because they make more money. Xbox not so much. Xbox is like Game Pass, and if you buy from our digital store, we don't give a shit. Buy Game Pass. So yeah, so I mean, Sony's really pushing that, and like I talked about in the PlayStation 5 Dadcast, that the future for Sony, like Tom Warren reported, the future for Sony is going to be all digital. I guarantee the PlayStation Sticks doesn't even ship with a drive, and they'll give you the option to purchase a disc drive separately. But I bet you all the PlayStation 6s ship without a disc drive. I can guarantee that. So that's going to really hurt GameStop sales, because if I'm a game maker making for the PS6 and I know they're not selling disc drives with the system, I'm going to make less games. I'm going to make less physical games, because I'm just going to worry about making those sales and not producing and, spending the cost to produce the game to sell, because Walmart and Best Buy might have gotten rid of their physical games. I haven't been in a Best Buy forever. I just order online. Walmart has really cut down their physical presence for game software. Same with Target. Best Buy, I know, got rid of movies. I don't know if they've gotten rid of games yet, but the last time I was in a Best Buy, which was last fall, maybe last year, maybe been sooner, but I can't even remember the last time I went shopping in a Best Buy. So I did notice there wasn't as many games on the shelves as there used to be. They had more like toys and Legos than they had games. So they're really cutting back on the physical presence in stores. So if stores aren't carrying the physical media as much, with the exception of GameStop, and disc drives are no longer shipping with games, you've got to do something to stay alive. And GameStop can't sell digital codes for PlayStation games anymore, or they can't sell the digital currency. I can't remember where I heard about that not too long ago. So if you can't buy a digital PlayStation game from GameStop, then if you're a PlayStation only person, you might not be shopping at GameStop anymore. So GameStop's got to do something to stay afloat, and that's something they've tried to do. Collectibles, which I think they've done okay at, considering at my GameStop there seems to be more space dedicated to Funko Pops, action figures, Pokemon cards than there does to be actual games. So that it's probably worked out more for them. But being a GameStop, people go there for games. Doing this retro thing is a great idea, but they've got to build up an inventory, and they got to do it somehow. Whether it's buyback games, or go out and buy wholesale lots from people, things like that. So I really like the GameStop retro idea. I hope they stick with it long term. And like I said, do incentives for trade-ins right now. Just build up that inventory. Get an inventory in there. Like trade in N64 games. Get an extra 30% credit towards buying used games, because that way you're giving more for the games, but at the same time then people can use it towards used games, which you have a huge markup on. I should be the CEO of GameStop. If I was the CEO of GameStop, GameStop would be profitable, because I don't think in the short term, I think in the long term. And I know when it comes to business, you have to lose money before you can make money. And any kind of quick turnaround making money is not for the longevity, and your profits soon dip and crash. Instead of steadily inclining, you peak and then you drop. And that's what GameStop does, because they're poorly run, because they're run by idiots who don't understand video games and don't understand gamers. They're just business people, and that. But so GameStop, stick with the retro line. Don't just these quick. I guarantee there's not a lot of returns coming. And when I say returns, like profit coming in right now for it, because you don't have the stock. Build up the stock, and once you have the stock, we'll see how it goes. But I think sticking with it will be good. Get yourself some. I would say I'd really be looking hard at GameCube, PS2. Xbox, Saturn, Dreamcast games right now, because I think those are the people buying the games. And then just adjust with the time, start getting in more Wii games, start getting in more 360, PS3 games, and the like. Get yourself some PSPs, get yourself some portable gaming consoles, because people are buying those to mod to play a bunch of different things. So you get a lot of those in stock. Those will sell. So GameStop, that is my free information for you right now to build up your stock. Stick with the retro thing, because I think that as a business, that's how you're going to survive into the next generation, is by selling old games instead of new games and used news games. So do that, GameStop. Do that now. And now on to kind of the meat and potatoes of this this podcast, maybe even the clickbait headline I'm going to post when all is said and done on this one. But we've got some new Twitch rumors coming from a forum in China. I first heard about this on Spawnwave here on YouTube. Great daily news coverage of video games and things like that on YouTube. So check him out for daily news coverage of all kinds of video game stuff. But he picked this up from Reddit, which was a translation from a Chinese forum. But in regards to Switch 2 rumors and some things possibly about the console, what I'm about to read you comes straight from Reddit. This is brand new info from a Chinese forum poster who does not have an inside track record, so take this strictly for fun and giggles. I mean, yeah, if there's no record of them having like info and stuff like that, yeah, definitely don't take it super seriously. But every person like that who had some inside track, who made scoops and stuff like that, they started with zero record because you got to get your first scoop. So, but yeah, I mean, take it with a grain of salt, kind of thing like that. Doesn't mean it's true, but at the same time, just because they've never done this before or have no record of doing it before, doesn't mean it's not true either. So, I mean, just kind of take the information for as is. Switch 2 production has started somewhere in a factory in China. It wasn't translated. Each factory worker is supposed to do 1,000 units a day. So I don't know if each factory worker assembles 1,000 units or they just put their individual, piece in the unit. Like if you're in charge of putting the motherboard in, you get 1,000 motherboards put in a day and you move it to the next one. So I'm not sure if one person builds 1,000 switches by themselves in a day, which I don't know if you're given all the pieces to put together a switch. I mean, you might be able to do 1,000 in a day. I don't know. God, I don't even want to think about the inhumane conditions people who work in factories in China work in. But I mean, I guess it's possible to put 1,000 together a day. I mean, if they're expected to put that many together, hopefully it's not that difficult that you just, boom, slap the motherboard in, slap the back on, go on to the next one, kind of thing like that. But that's what they're expected to do, 1,000 units per day. It is slightly larger than the Switch 1. It's got a smaller bezel in black. It's got a smaller bezel and black and white Joy-Cons. Slightly larger logo with a 2 on the side. So that is what was posted on Reddit. The smaller bezel, slightly larger than the Switch. I mean, that makes sense for a next generation console. You want it to be bigger. You want to take advantage of technology and things like that. I'm really hoping the rumors of the Switch 2 not having an OLED screen are false. I hope it comes out of the gate with an OLED. That makes sense to me because you refresh the Switch with an OLED model. I know they still sell the base model with improved battery time, but come on, we're going into, hopefully this Switch is 4K. Give it an OLED because I want one at launch. I don't want to buy two, so maybe we'll get the option. You get, a regular one and an OLED model for like $100 more. We'll have to see what they do there, but I would definitely appreciate an OLED model from launch because I still haven't I still have my original launch Switch. I've had no need to upgrade that. I've thought about it, like I briefly thought about upgrading to an OLED model, but that thought came to me this past winter. And I was just like, they're going to announce... I honestly thought the Switch 2 would be out by this Christmas, but I was like, they're going to announce the Switch 2 soon enough. I don't want to throw down, $350 for an OLED now, just in a couple months pre-order and throw down another $400 or $500. Who knows what the Switch 2 is going to be. So it's kind of like, it was one of those things. It's like, no, not going to do it. I'm not going to upgrade. This screen is fine enough. And I have demoed the OLED, and it looks great. If I didn't own a Switch, I'd buy the OLED version, so it'd be no contest there. But it's just, I don't spending that $350 when I think about how many games, be it new Switch games, N64 games, GameCube, or modern Xbox, PlayStation games, that $350 could get me. I'm just like, nah, I'm not gonna throw that down. So I do hope Nintendo, when they come out with the Switch 2, if it's not going to be OLED only, they give us the OLED option from the start. Like you can pre-order, like how they did like the color Joy-Cons, the black and white Joy-Cons. Hopefully they do. You can get an OLED model or a non-OLED model. Fingers crossed for that. Maybe that's what the black and white Joy-Cons are. The black ones are for the non-OLED. The white ones are for OLED models, kind of like how the OLED is white right now anyways, which, you know, because it just says black and white Joy-Cons. It doesn't say each system's coming with a black and white one. It just says we're making black ones and we're making white ones. So they could just be making black ones to go with your normal Switch 2 and then the white ones to go with the OLED. Fingers crossed, kind of thing like that. 1,000 units per day per person. I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot to be doing. And I know Nintendo wants a big stock of this because I think it's going to, depending on the upgrades and, you know, the title it launches with, the Switch 2 could sell a ton on day one. So they probably want a big stock to go through, especially with the stock shortages from COVID that they faced, that PlayStation faced. I don't think there was a shortage of Xboxes during there. Sorry, Microsoft. So they do want a big bezel. But like I said, I don't like thinking of the quality of life in a Chinese manufacturing factory. So hopefully putting together 1,000 units isn't that difficult. You just slap everything in, kind of thing like that. Anything? Oh, the Switch 2 logo. I've seen a couple people, I'll have to put a picture either in here or the thumbnail of what people are speculating the Switch 2 logo to look like. So that'll be fun. But yeah, that's all that's come from here. And I mean, that kind of just, whether this is accurate or not, a lot of that tracks with what we've been hearing, that the new Switch is going to be bigger, things like that. A lot of people have been calling it Switch 2, but I don't think I've seen any rumors to a name. So if there's a giant 2 logo on there, I mean, calling it the Switch 2 would make sense because it's what they kind of tried to do with the Wii U, to market off the name of the very successful previous console. Except Wii U, even me, a gamer who watches the gaming news and reads articles and things like that, I was also a little bit confused with the announcement of the Wii U and the tab. I was like, is this a new system or is it an upgrade for the Wii? It was kind of like, is U just the tablet and kind of things like that. It wasn't until like we got closer to release and got more news about it that was like, oh no, this is a completely different system, which unfortunately the general public didn't watch YouTube videos. They didn't watch, I think G4 was dead and gone by then. They didn't read Game Informer or go to the different websites like IGN to get the details. They just thought this was a new attachment for the Wii or things like that. So I think that hurt the sales. So calling this the Switch 2 does what they wanted to do with the Wii and Wii U and kind of Nintendo and Super Nintendo. You keep the name of the previous system that was very popular, but at least this time with 2, you know, because PlayStation has already set that precedent with PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, 4, 5. Down the road, saying Switch 2, it's already ingrained in the, sorry, my nose itches. It's already ingrained in the video game buying public that this is a new system. So I think that will help. That will help alleviate any confusions from your casual buyer who doesn't pay attention to this stuff 24/7 like us nerds do. So definitely calling the Switch 2, which again has not been confirmed. Remember, the Switch was called the NX up until that trailer to release it. Which, speaking of trailers, a lot of people are speculating we're getting a Nintendo Direct, some sort of announcement. In fact, let me, just in case, because I've been hearing this for the last 2 days, let me just go on X real quick. Oh my God, I just called it X and not Twitter. And check, just in case. Let's go search for, no, that was GameStop. Nintendo, because I follow Nintendo. There we go. Just make sure there's no announcements. Because I would hate to like edit this and go put it up and then, oh, there's an announcement. So 4 hours ago, Day of Doom, Fortnite. Okay, there's stuff they posted today. Okay. All right, nothing about a Nintendo Direct coming soon. Just making sure. But watch, after I do get off there, I'm just going to leave Nintendo Twitter up. Oh, went back to Twitter. Went back to calling it Twitter. I'm just going to leave that up and refresh occasionally throughout the rest of the podcast in case anything pops up. But yeah, there's been a lot of speculation that they're going to announce a direct very soon, and that's when we're going to get the trailer like we did for the original Switch, and then we will get the announcement of when pre-orders go live and when we can actually get one in our hands. And I don't know where I'm going to pre-order from. Last time I went down to the local GameStop, plopped down my money, did the midnight release kind of thing. I think I'm just gonna probably order it from like Amazon or Best Buy and do it that way, and just not even have to worry about going to pick it up that day and just have it delivered when it gets here, because odds are it's going to get released on a weekday. I'm going to be working, so it's not like I can get out to the store and get it right away. They did a midnight release. I think what I'll do is when it gets announced, I will pre-order it from either Best Buy or Amazon, and if I can pick it up the day of at Best Buy, I might just leave it with Best Buy. That'd be cool if Best Buy did a midnight release. That'd be awesome. I'll just go pick it up at Best Buy that day. But and just hold that pre-order. Then when I get a chance, go to my GameStop, see if they're doing pre-orders, and if they're doing a midnight release, and then I'm like, I'll do GameStop, and then. And so I can go to the midnight release, get it right away. But, man, when I stayed up till midnight the other day for Marvel vs. Capcom, I was so tired. I was just like, I played like 3 or 4 matches, and then I went to bed. So I don't even know if a midnight release is going to matter to me because I'm going to be so damn tired. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm old now. Even like 7 years ago when the last one came out, I did the midnight release. I think I started Breath of the Wild, and then I went to bed. Because I was tired. I did take the next day off from work though, so I did play it all day. So I know. We will see. We will see how I decide to get my Wii U, not Wii U, my Switch 2, Wii U Switch 2. It's rhyme. It's like poetry. It's George Lucas and Star Wars trilogy and prequels. But yeah, so that's how I plan on doing it. And so it's I think for the Switch 2 to have a big launch. Because the Switch was something completely new. And the idea of taking your console games on the road with you without having to transfer anything and just pick it up and play, that was a definitely game changer for video games. And look how many portable PCs we've seen come out since then as far as that goes. So it's definitely been a revolution. That's what they could have called the Nintendo Revolution. So that is not going to be new this time. We're going to get improved graphics because unlike the Xbox Series X and the PS5, you can do a jump in fidelity in graphics from the Switch to the Switch 2 if it will, in fact, be 4K gaming. So we can get that jump there. So that's going to be kind of new for a lot of Switch players. But we're not going to have the same kind of revolution we had with, taking our console games on the road with us kind of thing and having the same graphics and what have you. So it's got to have a killer app to launch with it in order, I think, for it to have as huge of an impact at launch as the Switch did. I think it's, me personally, if I was launching it, the one game I'd pick, I'd go to Sega and say Seaman 3. Seaman 3, killer app, sell 1 million Switches on day one. No, I think it's got to be Pokemon. I think you need Game Freak. Actually, the Pokemon company. They'll always be Game Freak to me. I really wish they wouldn't have changed their name. I hope they're working on it now or been working on it because you launch it because the Switch Pokemon games, I haven't played them because, I don't know, Pokemon seems like a chore these days. Like I bought Let's Go Pikachu because it was a remake of the original one, only 151 Pokemons to get. And I maybe made it halfway through. It just, I don't know, Pokemon to me, I love the idea of Pokemon. I love Pokemon. And, but yeah, after getting older, just playing the Pokemon games, just not my thing. So I can't say how good or bad the Switch versions were. But to get back on track what I was saying, a lot of people were not pleased with them and they felt they were lackluster. So if you launch with a Pokemon game that is polished as Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Odyssey, polished as a lot of these Nintendo first-party games, that's going to move a lot of systems. Especially if you do it in a way that Trying to think of what's like if you do it in a new and unique way that really recaptures Pokemon fans, like the hardcore Pokemon fans and the casuals like me. If you can come up with a gimmick that will bring us into the fold, back to the fold, I should say, then I think it's going to be huge. Another thing would be a new 3D Mario game to launch with the system. Maybe even like a remake of Galaxy or Mario 64, new HD graphics, upgrading that kind of thing, or doing a huge Mario All-Stars, doing like a sequel to the 3D All-Stars, but really putting effort into it. That might be a system mover, like I said, just a new 3D game, 3D Mario adventure, be it Odyssey 2, or you come up with a whole new unique idea that would push the envelope. Too soon, especially if it's launching next year, too soon for a new Zelda game, but maybe you can do an HD remake of the first two games, double pack. I don't know if you could fit them on one cartridge, maybe do two cartridges, but at a reduced cost. Don't charge the $70, maybe charge $50 for it, something of that matter. Launch it. I don't think Metroid Prime 4, as much as like us Nintendo fans love Metroid and Metroid Prime, I don't see that as a system seller. I don't see, like, it would have to, man, because first-person shooters, with the exception of like Call of Duty, don't move systems like they used to. So I don't even know if you could capture like hardcore first-party shooter fans with a Metroid, like just a top-of-the-line Metroid Prime 4. So I think it's got to be, it's got to be Pokemon or Mario. It's got to be like just a balls to the wall release to really push those systems, and I think it's got to have backwards capability or compatibility. You got to be able to play your current Switch games on it, and maybe they up the resolution, maybe they up the frame rates, so you can play them in 4K, things like that. So that way, it gives. I'm getting one on launch regardless. Ever since the N64, I've always picked up a Nintendo system in the launch window, not necessarily on launch day, because I was a poor college student when the Wii came out, and so I just didn't have the money to pre-order one. But I was able to get one in that first batch because I was friends with the GameStop manager in the mall I worked at, so he held one for me. I actually got in trouble for that because I worked in a jewelry store. There had to be two of us in the store at all times. I got a call from him. He was like, hey, I can't really hold this for you for more than like 5 minutes. Can you run upstairs and grab it real quick? I was like, yeah. And I told my coworker, because I was the manager, mind you, hey, I'm running up to GameStop real quick. I'll be right back. And so I did. And of course, in that like 5 minutes I was gone, our GM showed up. Our district manager showed up. And I was like, where were you? I was like, had to buy Wii. Went and put it in my office and came back out. And he wanted to scold me so much, but he was just one of those like, kind of like Michael Scott kind of managers, to where it's just like, he was just terrible at scolding people if you had any kind of pushback. And it's like, you could just easily, he was like a 40-year-old man. I'm a 21, yeah, I think I'm like 21 at the time, 21-year-old college kid. And I just bullied him into not punishing me for just blatantly disregarding the rules. So, but I did get my Wii then, so I had the Wii in the launch window, and I got a Wii U. I think the day it came out, I think I just walked into Best Buy and picked one up because I didn't pre-order it because, again, there was that confusion there. And I was like, it was just, and I didn't even like really necessarily, I wasn't going to buy it on launch day, but I happened to be in Best Buy that day, and they just had one sitting on the shelf. I was like, whatever, it's Nintendo. And I was like, it's got better graphics than the Wii. Let's play it. And it was what it was. Man, the only like game that I'm like, oh, I'm glad I had the Wii U for was Mario Maker, because we did get Smash Brothers. I don't think we got a 3D Mario on that. We didn't get a true 3D Mario on that system, did we? Yeah, it's kind of like Smash Brothers and Mario Kart 8, which were fun. I had those on the Wii U, but there are better versions on the Switch now. So it's like, I don't even. So yeah, like the only time I ever play my Wii U is to play Wind Waker, because I cannot play it on any other system. So I play Wind Waker on my Wii U. But yeah, I don't ever turn it on to play unless my son Sean and I want to play Mario Maker, because making levels on the Wii U gamepad is way easier, and with the two TVs is way easier than doing it on your Switch. Mario Maker 2 on the Switch was kind of a waste because I played it a lot like the first week and just never really picked it up after that, where I'm still playing Mario Maker on the Wii U today. But yeah, just have a killer app to go with the Wii, or not the Wii, I was doing it again, the Switch 2. I think you got to have that to not just get those of us who are going to upgrade no matter what to the Switch 2, but to get your casual people who own a Switch 2, because actually maybe a new Animal Crossing game would be good too, because they wanted Animal Crossing during COVID, or they like Pokemon, things like that. The people who, when they buy the system, may only buy one game a year. You got to have that game right at launch for them to buy it at launch. So if you want to have a really big launch, you got to have a game. And Nintendo's smart, though. I would say their GameCube launch was kind of weak, because Luigi's Mansion, I didn't even start playing that game until... Actually, the first time I ever played Luigi's Mansion was on the Switch when I bought Luigi's Mansion 3. I was like, I got Monkey Ball and Star Wars with the GameCube, because fucking Star Wars, man. A Ridge Tridge kind of stuff. So, and the GameCube, and I think the Wii U is their worst selling system, but before that, I think it was the GameCube. Let me pull that up. Let's see. Nintendo systems ranked by sales. Let's go. A list of best-selling consoles. All right, NintendoFandom.com, list of best-selling consoles. I don't care about your stupid pop-up. They're including classic editions on here. I was about to say, it's like Super Nintendo. So no, the Wii U is the worst-selling Nintendo console, but prior to the Wii U, which did not have a killer launch title, the GameCube, no killer launch title, and that beat it out by 14 million units. Wow, that kicked its ass. So then on the list, we then have the N64, but that did have a killer launch title on Mario 64, which 32 million for the N64, considering how crowded the market was at that time. You had 3 major systems with a 4th on the way with the Dreamcast there. So you had a lot of people buying games then, or a lot of different systems on the market then, and you were still with your like core video game players. So it wasn't like the market didn't really explode till the PlayStation 2 eras, when video game became really big. But yeah, so I mean, it had a killer app. Super Nintendo, of course, had Super Mario World, killer app. The Nintendo Entertainment System, which is the next one for... I'm talking about home consoles. I'm not going to worry about the handhelds. Then the next one is the Entertainment System. Of course, in America, that launched with Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt Combo. Again, Super Mario Brothers, killer app. And then next, we've got the Wii. 101 million sold. That launched with Nintendo Wii Sports, which was brilliant to show off how you can use the controller and everything like that. And I think it launched with Twilight Princess. I can't remember if that came out later, because that was originally going to be just GameCube. And they're like, well, the Wii is coming out or is out. Might as well do it for that too. But yeah, I mean, the killer app for the Wii was Nintendo Sports. So boom, you launched again with the killer app. And then Nintendo Switch launched with Bomberman R. You don't get better. No, I'm kidding. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild launched with the Switch, which is Nintendo's highest selling console ever, at 139 million units, which that, I don't know how when this list was updated. I thought it had passed 140. Does it say? It doesn't say when this was edited. So yeah, so I mean, that's what Nintendo needs to make this system a success, because there'll be people like me who will buy the system because you buy just about everything Nintendo, but also you want to be able to play some of your current games, better frame rate, better graphics, better fidelity, things like that. So we're going to buy it anyways, especially if it's backwards compatible, which it probably will be. But you have people who aren't like that who may not buy it if there's no game to play on it. So if you want to get a lot of repeat buyers from this generation to your next generation, there's definitely got to be that killer game at launch. And I always say launch and not in the launch window, because you don't want those. You want to try to sell out as many systems as possible on that first launch, because then it becomes FOMO. So when this is what happened with the Wii kind of thing, because then when that next batch gets in there, people are buying it up, and then the next batch, because people are like, oh, I can't miss out on this, I can't miss out on this. So that's what Nintendo needs to do. They need to create that FOMO, and it doesn't seem like they're doing it with artificial scarcity like they did with the Amiibos in America. It seems like they're trying to get as many Switch 2s out there as possible for the launch, and then hopefully sell out of that, and then you got that FOMO for when batch 2 comes in. That sells out, batch 3 sells out, and then you've got a big seller on your hands. So you kind of need that FOMO, and to get that FOMO, you need that killer app to sell out on day one. So, like I said, I think it's too close to Tears for the Kingdom for that to be, for, you know, a new Zelda to be a launch title. Although a Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom 2-pack would do good, but Tears for the Kingdom Wind Waker HD remake 2-pack, I think that would push a lot of sales. But I think it's got to be Mario Pokemon, because it's been a hot minute since we've had a 3D Mario, because 3D Odyssey was in that launch year, so it's been 7 years since the 3D Mario. So maybe that's why we haven't seen one, because it's like, well, we got the Switch 2 coming, let's just put on that system. So you get a banger Mario out there, people are going to buy, especially if it coincides with, when is Super Mario Movie 2 coming out? Let's see. Mario Brothers 2 movie. When is that coming out? So that comes, okay, Super Mario sequel 2026. Okay, so that is not going to coincide. Yeah, because we're in 2024. Yeah, so that's not going to coincide. So I was like, if that coincides with the Mario movie, holy shit, Nintendo will just be printing money. So it won't coincide with that. But if you have that launch there, awesome. So yeah, so that's all the I've got for this week on the Ninten-Dadcast. But like I did last week, if there's like breaking news or like a short Dadcast to do, I'll probably do a second one. So yeah, let me know what you think about the different things. Are you a part of the Gunpla community? What's one of your favorite models? Have you noticed how positive it's been? Have you been to a GameStop Retro? What do you think of the GameStop Retro? And do you think it's something GameStop's going to stick with? Or if they're just going to, because it's not doing great out of the gate? And then Switch 2 rumors. Can we believe the new ones? Are they already producing them? Are we getting ready for an announcement? What do you want to see Switch 2, and what is your speculation for the launch titles with the Switch 2? Will we get a Zelda remake? Will we get a new 3D Mario? A brand new Pokemon game? What do you think? So let me know in the comments below. Please like the video if you liked it, if you hung around this long, and if you enjoy what you saw here, give me a subscribe. Generally post every day, whether it's something like this where we're chatting, whether it's a gameplay video, reviews of figures, reviews of video games, reviews of video game hardware, things like that. And also all my reviews are things I bought with my own money, not provided to me ever. So yeah, subscribe if you want to come along on this journey. I'm on the road to 500 subscribers. I know it's a small number, but we're gonna shoot at tiers. We're gonna go from 5,000 to 1,000, then we'll worry about different things. But yeah, thank you for hanging out, and I will catch you on the next time. Have a great rest of your day. Bye now.